NASA is advancing its Artemis program by assigning lunar cargo missions to SpaceX and to Blue Origin, aiming to establish a sustained human presence on the moon. Yeah, I'm sad that I missed it last week, but I'm excited that we're talking about it again. Both companies are tasked with developing cargo variants of their human landing systems to deliver substantial payloads, 12 to 15 metric tons to the lunar surface, which is that's a lot. These missions are going to transport essential equipment, pressurized rover, surface habitat, facilitating extended lunar exploration and habitation. The cargo deliveries are scheduled for the early 2030s, aligning with NASA's goal for long-term lunar exploration. I mean, to have a human presence, a sustainable human presence on the moon, is just kind of paving the way for future Mars stuff, right? How do we get stuff to Mars? Well, let's start on the moon. Baby steps, right? It's good.
Are you ready for a house on the moon?
Yep.
I mean, I think this is taking the idea of a mobile home to a new stratosphere. There's a lot to consider over the next 5 or 10 years in order to be able to do this. I think we've had these dreams of bases on the moon, people living on the moon for years, but the fact that this could actually become a reality within our lifetimes, not only that, within the next decade, is mind-blowing. What's the most important thing here? Is it the design? Is it the safety? Is it the testing? Is it the requirements? For me, and I know that Andrew's going to argue something different just out of spite, but for me, the biggest one, the number one here, is going to be to make sure that we've got a cost-effective and safe way to carry huge payloads to the moon. That's the only way this is going to happen, is if you can take a lot of this stuff up at once. And just to put it into perspective, you said what, 12 to 15 metric tons, right? Like, I think what, an elephant's like 6 tons or something. I mean, that is a lot just being taken up, being launched off the ground into space. So for me, to get all of that to happen in a cost-effective way is going to be all about the design and the innovation. We're doing something that has never been done before now.
Yeah, there's no doubt there's a challenge. I actually was going to say the biggest challenge here is getting Greg out of his slippers and his blanket in front of the fireplace, feeling safe.
Here's the thing.
You have a house on the moon?
Yeah, no, I would 100%. I don't understand
an autonomous bicycle. Never mind that.
I was just thinking about that. I was like, why would I be so worried to get into an autonomous vehicle or an autonomous drone that's going to carry me somewhere? But when it's like, yeah, you want to go to the moon for a week or two, or buy a house on the moon, I would consider it very much so. Yeah.
Double standards, man. But let's get back to it, to the main thing here. Design and innovation, you say, is your biggest challenge. Yeah, that's a good, relevant one. But it has to be the fact that you've got a supply chain in play here. So your number one challenge is the supply chain and your logistics optimization. This isn't just about getting payloads to the moon. It's about ensuring every piece of equipment, from pressurized rovers to habitats to 3 elephants, as you were talking about. And where the elephants come into this, I don't know. What are you talking about? Arrives on time, intact, still breathing, big nose bag, lots of food, and in the right sequence. Without solving your supply chain and your logistics optimization, even your best designs will become your logistical nightmare.
I love how somehow me using elephants just to put how much weight this is into perspective has now opened up the idea of like a zoo on the moon. But hey, I'm here for it. Okay, so, but logistics only matter if you've got something to transport. They only matter if you've got the design of how you're transporting it into place. So in this case, I think figuring out that design and the innovation of how this is happening is actually more important than the supply chain, because you don't exactly know what you're supplying yet, what logistics you need to supply, until you've figured out what we're transporting, how we're doing it, what's going up there. You know, so you've got to have a landing system that can safely carry and land with the payloads. You've got to have vehicles that can transport all this stuff safely. No amount of scheduling or sequencing is going to save the mission if you don't know the designs figured out first. This is, again, the foundation here is design and innovation.
It's typical designer, isn't it? I mean, you'll be spending hours and years designing the perfect car, but forgetting you do need a road to put it on. Okay. That's the designer. That's the engineer in you doing that, I believe. So without an optimized logistics system, we're just piling rovers and habitats and elephants into a lunar junkyard. So your supply chain, your logistics optimization ensures that every delivery makes sense and serves the mission, not just the headlines of a cool looking vehicle.
Ladies and gentlemen, listeners and friends, all the designers and engineers out there, I would like to sincerely offer my heartfelt apology for the offense that Andrew Sparrow has just given to all of us in the design world. It's an apology we're extending from the depths of our hearts. This is a PSA, and I just want y'all to know.
We weren't talking about manufacturing, isn't it? I'd have been really going at it. So for me, establishing a logistics framework to make sure you've got timely, you've got safety, you've got efficient delivery of that payload, whatever that payload seems to now be in the zoo on the moon. Number one is define that payload sequence and mission critical equipment priorities with NASA. Get your supply chain management integration solution in place. Hello, that's us. Develop your lunar specific logistic workflows, including your launch timing, your cargo handling, and your surface deployment strategies. And then get your testing done. So you've got a bit of digital twin stuff going on. And then overlay your AI to dynamically adapt launch and delivery schedules based upon those kind of real-time conditions that you've already got in that system, including your weather, including your orbital dynamics, and resource availability. There you go.
Did you hear that, SpaceX and Blue Origin? We are not going to be satisfied with this project until there is a zoo on the moon that has an Airbnb that Greg can go stay in overnight.
That's correct. And I would like to add to that, this is me letting NASA know that if they need a caretaker or a zookeeper or whatever, an owner of the menagerie, I would be very happy to put my application. Sorry, Andrew. I'm going to put my application toward being a zookeeper.
That'll be the extra 20 hours a week.
That's okay. Right. Yes. Yep. Exactly. Yeah. As long as they're okay with me, commuting back and forth a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit of a commute or a remote work from home there.
That's right. That's right.
See you next week.